Chapter 6, Solving the Math Problem. After stationing himself at his desk, Bei Chen did not care about any other souls in the classroom. He looked outside the window with eyes full of reminiscing thoughts. Though his memories had faded a little bit, the familiar sight gave him an instant reminder of what he had forgotten. Time passed until it was 9 in the morning. A middle-aged teacher in a suit walked into the room. His face was quite physically unpleasant, with freckles and sunken eyes, and he had a body that was scrawny to the point of appearing malnourished. When the head of the class said, "Everyone, please stand up to greet the teacher," everyone in class immediately followed the order. Bei Chen's classroom did not have many students in it. There were only 30 and all were present today. After everyone had taken their seats once again, the middle-aged teacher with a hollow face gave them a few greetings and started to call out their names in order. When the last person on the list confirmed their attendance, the teacher then put down the textbook he had carried and onto the teacher's desk in front of the classroom. After that, he flipped through the math textbook for a little while. "Everyone, please turn to page 105. Today, we're going to go through equations, which happens to be a new lesson from chapter 5. The middle-aged teacher held the book in his hand while scanning all the faces. Everyone did as the teacher instructed. This was the middle of the academic year before graduation from the senior year of high school, so everyone paid attention to the lessons. If not, there would be no guarantee of what the future held. Especially during this period when jobs were hard to find, everyone had to work harder. Bei Chen also followed the instructions of the hollow-faced middle-aged teacher. He remembered this teacher quite well. His name was Hai Bo, though everyone called him Teacher Hai, due to the fact that the name itself was quite funny. Bei Chen did not have many friends in his class. Before serving his sentence, his only close friend was Ba Guan. He had also never thought about love because he had been focusing too much on school, although there were many cute 18-year-old girls in his class. At the desk in front of him, there was an extremely adorable girl with a doll-like face. Her big round eyes were crystal clear like twinkling stars in the night sky. Her black hair was shoulder length and looked extremely silky, exposing her elegant, long fair neck. Her name was Li Lin. She was from an extremely wealthy family, the richest family in Xingzhou City, where they lived. No one knew why she attended this school, but her academic record had always placed her in the top 2 every year. In his previous life, Bei Chen had never uttered a word to her. There were rumors though that this Li Lin hated his guts because he was top of the class. The boy did not know how much truth was in it, but he had not cared about it at all in his previous life. Now that he was given a chance to fix his past, his interest in her was kindled. It was not that he was in love with her, it was more wanting to know if she truly hated his guts. To be frank, the Bei Chen of now still could not care less about love like in his previous life. His only goal was to avenge himself against Wang Chengyi and the Wang family, and also Ba Guan. While his mind was busy with many thoughts, Teacher Hai picked up a whiteboard marker and turned his back to everyone in class. He walked towards the huge whiteboard hung on the classroom wall and started to scribble down a math problem. No one uttered a word. Everyone's gaze was fixed on Teacher Hai and the whiteboard. Some took out notebooks from the storage space under their desks to jot it down. Teacher Hai was rather proficient in his writing, though his handwriting was peculiar. Many minutes later, he stopped and turned around to look at all the faces in class. "Who can solve this problem?" he asked in a calm voice. The problem he wrote down was only of medium difficulty, it was not a hard one. With a solid foundation in equations, students could solve it without breaking a sweat. Many looked confused with what was written on the board. But understanding was also dawning upon many. One of the sharpest minds of all was Li Lin. She was about to raise her hand to volunteer. But it was too late. Bei Chen, who was sitting behind her, raised his hand first. "I can do it, Mr. Hai. Oh, the top of the class for the past 2 years. Come quickly and solve this problem." Teacher Hai nodded with a content look on his face. From freshman to sophomore year, Bei Chen had always ranked number 1, making him quite a memorable character. Teacher Hai also knew and admired this boy. Li Lin halted. She ground her teeth with frustration and secrecy but did not say anything. Li Lin could only blame herself for being one step too late and letting this nasty person steal her limelight again. Bei Chen left his seat and walked over to the whiteboard. He took the marker from Teacher Hai's hand. With the marker in hand, the boy started solving the problem right away. The problem written on the board by Teacher Hai was really of medium difficulty. He pressed the tip of the marker onto the board and started solving the problem. In about 2 minutes, he was done answering the question. Teacher Hai swept his gaze across the board before nodding with approval. "That's correct. You arrived at the right answer, Bei Chen. You did really well." Chapter 7, Magic Glasses. Ding. Mission complete. Mission 3, Solve a math problem in class. Success. Reward, you have received 15 points and the opportunity to receive special skills or items at random. Bei Chen heard a sound in his head. He looked at the pop-up window with satisfaction, then tapped to close it before walking back to his desk. It was obvious that he was the only one who could see the life-changing system. All the students in the class did not find Bei Chen's ability to easily solve the math problems from Teacher Hai out of place. This was because he was already known to be quite a brain, as he ranked first every year. Bei Chen took a seat and reopened the life-changing system to see new missions and use the randomized feature he had just gotten. The life-changing system. User, Bei Chen. Age, 18 years old. Level, 1, 31/100ths. Description, you still need 70 points to level up. Instruction, if you wish to change your life into what you have always wanted, proceed with the following missions. Mission Dashboard. Mission 2, Feed stray cats at the park, 10 points. Mission 4, Save a genius young lady who is going blind, 30 points. Further instruction, the order of mission completion is irrelevant. After you are done with the tasks assigned to you, you will be given a chance to receive special skills or items at random. The skills or items will give you a better life. You have one opportunity to receive special skills or items at random. Bei Chen looked at the window with excitement. It had been barely a day and he had already gained himself 30 points. 70 more and he would move to level 2, along with getting new skills and items through randomization. However, his excitement soon vanished when he saw the new mission. Mission 4, which had just popped up, seemed rather strange. though the number of points it gave was as high as 30. With curiosity, Bei Chen chose not to use the randomize feature yet, but selected Mission 4 instead, in order to see its details. Mission 4, save a genius young lady who is going blind. Instruction, a young woman, who is a computer science genius, is going blind. Her temperament is very gloomy right now. Vision is her life. If she loses her ability to see, the woman will have suicidal thoughts. If you go to Xingxiang Park and give her magic glasses, she will be very grateful. Reward for success, win 30 points. Penalty for failure, lose 30 points. As soon as he finished reading the details for the fourth mission, Bei Chen's eyes widened in panic. It seemed like a difficult mission had surfaced. Magic glasses? What are they? He thought long and hard about the mission. He clearly did not have the magic glasses that the mission required, let alone know what they were. The mission also had a penalty of a 30-point deduction. If he failed, he would lose all 30 points he had obtained so far. Bei Chen's expression turned solemn. He pondered the fourth mission seriously for a while before letting out a sigh. The boy then remembered that he had one chance of randomizing special skills and items. Though the chance is slim, I might happen to get this magic whatever from the random feature by chance, he thought to himself before deciding to try it out. He pressed his finger onto the randomize window without hesitation. A roulette wheel with alternating pockets of red and black appeared. Each color in front of him was labeled with either the word skill or item. I hope it gives me magic glasses, he wished yearningly for the item from the bottom of his heart, even more yearningly than the first time he had made his wish. He then pressed the button in the middle of the roulette wheel with a shaky finger. The roulette wheel spun at great speed. After a while, it began to slow down and came to a complete halt at the pocket called Special Item. Ding! Congratulations, you have received low-grade magic glasses. Bei Chen blinked with incredulity when he saw especially beautiful transparent glasses with gold frames appear in front of him. He stared at them for a while, almost forgetting to breathe. He did not imagine that he would really get magic glasses. His heart was beating fast in his chest with overwhelming excitement. The life-changing system was clearly highly proficient as it had camouflaged the glasses, making them transparent and invisible to everyone else's eyes but his. Magic glasses. These are magic glasses. If he had not been in class at the moment, Bei Chen would have let out a loud whoop. He tried to suppress his excitement and slowly reached out to grab the transparent magic glasses. At the same, he inspected their features. Low-grade magic glasses. Description: these magic glasses were invented by a mad scientist, who was crazy about futuristic gadgets and technology from 10,000 years ahead in the future. He was a genius far ahead of his time, but sadly he made these glasses when he was gravely ill, which is why the quality is of a low level. Nevertheless, the glasses' characteristics are absolutely extraordinary. If normal people put them on, they will have supervision several thousand times better than ordinary vision. If blind people put them on, they will gain back their sights as if they were not blind. After some time of usage, their vision will revert to normal. Grades of special items: low, medium, high, supreme. No wonder why the system wants me to give her these magic glasses. Understanding about Mission 4 dawned on Bei Chen more. He also thought that he was born with luck. Otherwise, he would have never gotten magic glasses at random like this. Chapter 8, Supermarket. Time passed and the school day was over. Bei Chen did not pay attention to anyone in the classroom. He left hurriedly right after the last class ended. Bei Chen walked to the parking lot and pedaled his bicycle straight to the supermarket. He was heading there to, of course, buy some cat food. The boy checked out the details of Mission 2, which were actually not very much. Mission 2, feed stray cats at the park. Instruction, there are so many stray cats nowadays. It is easier for them to bear offspring as they live more freely than house pets. This means the number of stray cats is increasing. Xingxiang Park is one of the places where stray cats reside. Your task is to feed them. After you're done giving them food, some of them will be more friendly towards you. Reward for success, win 10 points. Penalty for failure, none. After reading through the details of Mission 2, Bei Chen knew right there and then that it was the same park as the one in Mission 4. He felt lucky that the park for this mission was not one of the other ones that were farther away. While cycling to the supermarket near Xingxian School, he thought many things about the points he was going to get for completing Mission 2 and 4. Mission 2 would award 10 points, while Mission 4 would award 30. Completing both missions would earn him 40 points. Adding them to the 30 points he already had, the total amount would be 70 points. After realizing this fact, Bei Chen could not help but feel excited. 70 points were really close to 100. When he leveled up, the life-changing system would improve significantly for sure. The reason he had to believe this was all the novels with systems similar to this life-changing system that he had would introduce new interesting features to users when they leveled up. Bei Chen had quite high expectations for this. The supermarket was not really far away from Xingxian School. The distance he had to cover was only half a kilometer. He arrived and parked his bicycle in the supermarket's parking lot. After 4 o'clock, the supermarket was quite crowded. Most shoppers were housewives who were buying meat, vegetables, and seasonings to cook for their husbands and children. There were many vehicles in the parking lot. Cars were the minority, followed by motorbikes. Out of all the vehicles, bicycles were the most abundant. Bei Chen saw as many as 10 bicycles parked in the parking lot. Most were ones with baskets in front. He did not care how crowded the supermarket was. If it was before, when he was still a naive young man, Bei Chen would have felt a little embarrassed. But now everything was different. Bei Chen was 30 years old. He had been transformed into a middle-aged man who had spent 12 years in prison. He could not care less about being at the supermarket when it was crowded with people. This place was called Huyang Supermarket. The owner was the Hu family, which was one of the wealthy families of Xingzhou City. The city itself was quite big. However, Xingzhou was nothing compared to Beijing, for it was the capital city of China that covered a great area. Every school and business district in Xingzhou all had the word Xing as the first syllable. The reason for that was simple, because the name of the city was Xingzhou. Bei Chen walked into the supermarket. An automatic door slid open with a sound as he walked through. The inside of the supermarket was also quite large. It was by no means an exaggeration to say that Huyang Supermarket was the biggest hypermarket in town. Bei Chen did not spare anything else a glance as soon as he entered. He ignored the swarms of people here and there inside the supermarket and headed straight to the pet food zone. The pet food zone was in the last aisle nearly at the back wall of the supermarket. He walked over at a moderate pace and soon reached his destination. Bei Chen saw a colorful dangling sign, which was a print advert promoting a type of product. The wording on the sign said, "Marvelous dog and cat food." Bei Chen thought the advertisement was quite interesting, but he also looked past it without much care. He marched forward and turned to the cat food corner. Once he made a turn, his eyes fell on an unexpected person. It was the girl, Li Lin. She was quite small with a height of only 158 centimeters, making her look even more like a doll. Li Lin was in a blue dress, looking dazzling and adorable. The dress suited her quite nicely. She was holding a red basket in her hand, the supermarket basket for customers to store products in before checking out. "You nasty person." Bei Chen saw her at the same time as she saw him. Her big round eyes widened slightly, having never imagined that she would run into this horrible person here. Bei Chen frowned a little, his face puzzled. He had no memories of doing anything bad to her. Why did she call him a nasty person? When he remembered the rumor that this girl hated his guts, Bei Chen was suddenly enlightened with the ways of the world. "What do you mean I'm nasty? Have I ever done bad things to you?" His tone was inquiring. He really wanted to know if that rumor had any truth in it. If she really did despise him just because she could not beat him in class, that would make her one of the most narrow-minded persons ever. Chapter 9, Xinxiang Park. "You don't recall anything?" Li Lin's doll-like face turned aggressive as soon as she heard Bei Chen's questions. She gritted her teeth and glared fiercely at him as though he had demolished her house. "Recall what? I don't recall ever doing anything to you. Is it because of my academic record?" Bei Chen looked puzzled. Though he was a 30-year-old man, he had never come close to deciphering women's minds. This was because he had been imprisoned since he was 18 years old for possessing 200,000 amphetamine pills. "You really are disgusting. I can't stand you. Just you wait, one day I'll make sure you cry like a baby like when you bullied me back in kindergarten." Li Lin glared at him with a savage look on her face as if she was going to breathe fire. She then turned her face away abruptly and left without even looking back. Bei Chen, whose expression had been perplexed, came to a sudden realization. Kindergarten? Could she be that chubby girl? He seemed to remember that there was one time in kindergarten when he took snacks from a chubby girl for himself. She cried like a baby. He did not really remember her name though, because it was a long time ago. So, it was her. Looks like she chose to go to this school just to get revenge against me. What a weird person. Bei Chen did not know whether to laugh or cry. He had never imagined that Li Lin was that girl, let alone her specifically choosing to attend the same school just to get back at him. Never mind, I'll just buy her some snacks later to apologize. He decided to shelve this matter for now. Bei Chen resumed his hunt for cat food, especially the cheap one, as he did not have much cash. In a day, Bei Chen received only 50 yuan from his parents for daily expenditures. After buying himself lunch, he was left with 40 yuan, which was enough money to buy cat food. Bei Chen swept his gaze swiftly across the array of cat food on display, trying to scan for a big and cheap one. He had no idea how many cats were at Xingxiang Park, so buying a big bag would be a better bet. Then his eyes fell on one huge bag from a certified #1 brand in the industry. The price of this whole bag, which weighed 1.5 kilograms, was 30 yuan. Bei Chen made up his mind at once. He reached out both hands to take the bag, finding it quite heavy in the process, though not so much that he could not handle it. The boy then walked to the counter to check out. There were several people queuing. This Huyang supermarket only had 2 checkout counters, and neither was free. Both counters were occupied with shoppers who were waiting to pay. Bei Chen chose the counter with 3 people in the queue. He stood there patiently waiting. The boy did not seem to notice that a girl, whose height was at his chest level, had walked over to wait in line behind him. "Nasty person, what are you buying that cat food for?" The girl was none other than Li Lin. The basket in her hand contained a medium-sized cat food bag and crispy snacks. She looked at the huge packet of cat food in Bei Chen's hands with curiosity. Bei Chen turned around to look at her and smile faintly. "Of course, I'm buying this for stray cats at the park. Care to join?" You wish." Li Lin sulked at Bei Chen with disgust. She hated his smile. The girl quickly turned away and walked over to the other counter. Bei Chen blinked rapidly. He could feel that this girl truly hated his guts, but that could not be helped, because he really did take her snacks in kindergarten. He retracted his gaze and kept on waiting in line. Not long after, his turn approached. Bei Chen put the bag onto the counter. An auntie in a supermarket uniform spun the bag around to look for a barcode. She pressed the machine to scan. A beep rang out once. 30 yuan, young man, the lady said with a service smile. Bei Chen took out his 30 yuan and handed it over to the auntie. She accepted his payment, keyed in the amount, and gave him the receipt. The boy took the receipt and a huge plastic bag with the cat food inside and walked out. Bei Chen put his bag inside the front basket of his bike, hopped on, and sped to Xingxiang Park. The park and the supermarket were quite near one another. The distance itself was merely half a kilometer, and both were quite close to the Qingsheng business district where his house was located. Bei Chen took only a brief moment to arrive. He parked his bicycle under a tree and opened the Mission 2 window. When he saw a green arrow pointing towards a certain direction, Bei Chen walked with the cat food bag in his arms to where it directed. Xingxiang Park was extremely sizable. The center of it had a square-shaped murky pond, with some trees on the side. There were also long benches here and there. Many people were lounging in the park. Some were picnicking with their families. Some were jogging to break some sweat. And some were just sitting there, taking in the fresh air. Though Bei Chen did not look at anyone in particular, he still could not help but sweep his gaze around with nostalgia. It had been 12 years since he had last come here. The last sight he had of the park was when the prisoner transport vehicle journeyed past while making its way towards Beijing Central Prison. Chapter 10, Sometimes You Won't Get to Try Your Luck. Bei Chen had not been walking for long when he reached his destination. He saw 10 cats hanging out in a group. Some were lying down with carefree attitudes, while some were chasing each other under a big tree. These stray cats were not at all frightened by people. Even though he had taken several steps closer to them, none moved an inch. They were still relaxing and playing just the same. The man stopped in front of the group of stray cats, which came in many colors and breeds. He estimated that there were at least 3 breeds present among the 10 cats. Most were of mixed breeds. He looked at them for a while and saw that there were both small and big cats, though the majority were big ones. There were only 3 small kitties. Bei Chen was not a cat person, who would fall heads over heels for these furballs. If he were a cat person, he would have rushed in to pet them already. The man did not want to wait. He wanted to get this mission over with. He prepared the food for the stray cats, then realized that he did not have a tray to put the food in. "I would have bought it if I knew," he could not help but mumble to himself. His face showed regret from having not thought of this while at the supermarket. But luck seemed to be on his side when his eyes fell on a tray placed next to a tree trunk behind the group of cats. "Looks like it belongs to someone who had fed the cats and forgot it. Should be okay if I borrow it." Bei Chen did not hesitate. He sidestepped that cats and walked towards the tray at once. He stopped in front of the tray and saw that it was actually quite big. The tray was in fact 1 meter long. The eyes of the cats watching Bei Chen from behind gleamed in an instant. They quickly ran to the tray to wait, all of them. This scene was surprising to Bei Chen. He lowered his head to look at the stray cats with an odd look in his eyes. Never have thought that they would be so smart as to know that he was about to feed them and rush here to wait. Bei Chen did not give it much thought though. He quickly opened the bag and poured everything out. The man dumped it all out on the tray at once until a small mountain was formed. He used his hands to spread the food evenly onto the tray and stepped several steps to the side, letting the cats have their meal. When they saw that the human had pulled back, 10 stray cats started munching delightfully, not paying any attention to Bei Chen who had brought them food. Bei Chen looked at them with anticipation in his eyes. He was waiting for a mission accomplished. Sound to ring out. Barely 5 minutes later, he heard the sound that was music to his ears. Ding! Mission complete. Mission 2, feed stray cats at the park, success. Reward, you received 10 points. Bei Chen's eyes widened a little as he stared at the window that had popped up. There's none. There's no randomization feature to get special skills or items. His lips quivered slightly. He gazed at the window that was saying mission complete, with a dumbfounded expression. Does this mean they're only available for some missions? Bei Chen thought of this possibility. He shook his head to snap himself out of the confusion, then nodded with understanding in his mind. Very likely. While he was standing there, 2 small cats walked in to nuzzle his legs. Bei Chen looked down and smiled slightly. So, this is the friendliness that the mission was talking about. Though he was not a cat person, Bei Chen still squatted down to stroke their silky fur. Their reactions to his petting were quite cute. Bei Chen played with the 2 cats for a while before walking away in search of a vending machine as he was getting thirsty. He did not have to spend much time locating it. There was one machine next to a long bench, wide enough for 3 people to sit on. The man walked over to the side of the machine and tossed the empty cat food package into the bin next to it. He then walked over to the front and put in 10 yuan to buy a can of ice-cold cola. With the cola costing 5 yuan, Bei Chen got another 5 in change. Now 5 yuan was all he had left. He had used almost all of his money today. He opened the soda can and walked to the long bench, which had a back to rest against. Bei Chen took a seat and drank many gulps of cola. His expression turned livelier right away after being refreshed with the cold drink. After having drunk quite an amount, Bei Chen opened the system window to check details. He wanted to see new missions and also locate the girl who was about to go blind so that he could get the missions done. The life-changing system. User, Bei Chen. Age, 18 years old. Level, 1, 41/100ths. Description, you still need 60 points to level up. Instruction, if you wish to change your life to what you have always wanted, proceed with the following missions. Mission Dashboard. Mission 4, save a genius young lady who is going blind, 30 points. Mission 5, take a night's rest, 5 points. Further instruction, the order of mission completion is irrelevant. After you are done with the tasks assigned to you, you will be given a chance to receive special skills or items at random. The skills or items will give you a better life.